Welcome everybody to the third episode of Around the Gjallarhorn. I'm sitting here with one of my favorite streamers, a great content creator, my guy RETROYIMMY, and I could not be more happy that he agreed to step into Murphy D's hot seat here and just spend a little bit of time talking about Madden, about streaming, about all things retro, and about who that little guy on his shoulder is. We have a whole bunch of questions, I was talking to my wife just before the stream, and I was like, oh man, I haven't really thought about what I'm going to ask on the podcast. And she said, just ask him things that you're curious yourself. That's what the chat's going to want to know too. They're going to want to get to know you a little bit more, and I'm sure that people in the chat have a lot of the same questions that I have. But first and foremost, Yimmy, thank you so much for being on here. Really appreciate it.
No, thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure just watching you. Just watching your channel grow. Like, we started like right around the same time, and just like all the themes that you're doing with your TikToks, the YouTubes, these chats that we do, like everything is happening for you, and I couldn't be more happy to be here with you.
I appreciate that. That means a lot, honestly, and it's true. Like, I'll kind of introduce like. You're the longest tenured sub that I have on Twitch right now, actually. So you're,
Thank you.
I kind of found Yimmy's channel, guys, right after, like, through J-Dub's channel originally. So J-Dub was one of the first guys that I found through the Madden live streams when I first kind of figured out what Twitch was about. And then I probably found Yimmy like right amidst the time when like all sports were canceled due to COVID, and there was, I started watching more Madden and finding other ways to kind of get the competitive experience that we sports fans crave. And I just remember going into Yimmy's stream at the very beginning, and it was, not the numbers that you're putting up now. It was a more intimate crowd, but I remember that the playlist was always fantastic, and I remember thinking that just like the coolest people hung out in your chat. Like, you had all the people that I had kind of befriended in other streams, like in the bigger, Madden live streams at the time, were hanging out in Yimmy's chat, and a lot of the streamers that I like to watch were hanging out in your chat too. So maybe we could start off the conversation about like how your streaming journey started. Like, what was it like for you first getting off the ground on Twitch?
So I really didn't even plan on ever streaming, like, ever. It was my wife's idea. I was just watching a stream, and it was Buffalo K, actually, I was watching, and she's like, why don't you do something like that? I'm like, do what? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's like from what I've seen on Twitch, it's like you got guys that are like good at marketing stuff. You got guys that are good at the game in general, just like high energy. I'm like, I can't do any of that. Like, I'm awful at the game, and I don't know how to make coins. Like, like, honestly, you watch my stream, you will learn how to make coins by doing the exact opposite of everything that I do. Like, my pack luck is just awful. Just, so I'm like, what am I doing on here? So it all started back in, I want to say it was like October, November of like 2019. I was watching Swain Games, and he was doing Get a Golds, as he usually does, and he asked like if anybody wanted to like broadcast like ripping like Get a Golds or whatever, and I'm like, I'll do it. Like, I was like, just out of the blue, I'm like, why don't I do it? So I set up the app on the Xbox, so this is like no camera. I don't even think they could hear me talking or anything like that. And I was just like ripping packs through the Xbox, and they were able to like broadcast it through the channel. And so I will say this, Swain Games was my first follower.
That's awesome.
You always remember your first. You always remember your first.
Yeah.
So it didn't really like take off from there. It was like a couple days later, I'm like, let's just try this again, and I streamed through the Xbox, and nothing really. So it's like, all right. So then I had a couple conversations with Rhino. Like, I don't even know how I got on this guy's radar. Yeah. Like, he found out that I wanted to start streaming, and he was like, so you're gonna really want to get a capture card and probably a webcam, like, so everyone can see you. Like, those are like the keys. I'm like, all right. So at the time, I had a crappy old laptop that happened to have a camera on it. So I picked up the capture card. So I'm like, before you invest in like all this equipment and streaming, you got to make sure it's for you. You don't want to be, like hundreds or even thousands of dollars into equipment and then find out like this isn't for me. So like, I'm like, well, let me at least buy a capture card and we'll try it out. And that's kind of how I got it started with that. And it was, for the longest time, it was just me and Nightbot and my good friend JT60, and even SEAL Team was there, when it was,
the legend,
just like under the average views, and I just couldn't get affiliated. It took forever for that to actually happen. And then finally I went live, and Swing Games recognized that again, and rated the channel with like, I think it was like like over like 70 people. Like it was a
Yeah.
huge crowd, and it was
That's
amazing.
awesome.
And he's like, "Oh, you're not affiliated?" I'm like, "No, I still have to get my average views up there." And I think it was Texas Rafe that actually typed in the channel. He said that changes tonight. It's happening. I'm like, "Oh
Yeah.
boy." So like I didn't know what was happening. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting tagged on Twitter by all kinds of people. Like, getting this channel. He's trying to get affiliate. Let's help him out. Blah blah blah. And like all of a sudden, yeah, like Rhino's there. Buffalo K is there. A
Yeah.
big Kep showed up. Like I was just like blown away at that point. And
Unreal.
he comes in and sees baby Groot on my shoulder. He's like, what the hell am I getting into? But like, Kep's one of those guys I've looked up to, in the community for a long time. So to have him even there was just
Yeah.
like incredible. And we just like stayed on playing games, whatever, until that magical email got sent out. It was like 12:30 at night that we got affiliate. I'm like, great, so and it was kind of like back to reality after that night. We were back to maybe like only like 4 or 5 guys in the stream. But what was cool is like I got on like Roy McCracken's radar at that point. Like, and he even remembered like when I was first starting out, like with 1 or 2 people too. He remembers the infamous Yimmy Pac-Man, which not too many people know about that guy. But anyways,
can you tell us a little bit about this Yimmy Pac-Man? Because I feel like I was a little bit later on the scene here, maybe a month or so after this happened. So what's the Yimmy Pac-Man?
So
you
that
can't
was
just brush it off after saying that.
All right, we'll get into that story too. So yeah, before there was Retro Yimmy, there was Yimmy Pac-Man. Well, before that even was my just Yimmy 325, which is my Xbox gamer tag. So that's what I was using. But then, like I said, when I got on Rhino's radar, he was like, you might want to lose the whole Pac-Man thing just because copyrights, whatever. And it's like, I get it. Like, if there's somebody's advice that I follow, it's Rhino. Like, he knows all the ins and outs and all the rules and everything you need to know and how to be successful on Twitch. I think this was like right around the time too when he was trying to get his partnership. So I think this was pre-partner Rhino. It was right around the same time when he was grinding for it. And so, he says like, well, what do you want to do with your channel? I'm like, well, obviously I play a lot of Madden, but I like playing a lot of like old school games too. And he said, Retro Yimmy.
Unreal.
Rhino came up with the name. Up with the name. I'm like, you know what? I love it. He sent me like a little logo. It was just like a letter Y. He was like, here's some graphics to get you started. I'm like, oh my God, like, great, thank you. So I was able to change it and start marketing it. I had to wait like another like 3 weeks after that because the Twitch has the whole. You have to wait like 2 months before you change your gamer tag again. Ask our good friend Bronco Boy, aka Trash Can Man, aka whatever the hell he calls himself now about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, so I had to wait for that, and then once that started happening, and I was able to change it, I'm like, now it's time to start grinding, time to start branding. Like let's expand on this. And then I updated my logo to what am I pointing at the right side?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you nailed it there. Yeah.
Yeah. My sister is a graphic designer. I asked her if she could do a little logo for me, and like I fell in love with this little retro guy. I said make it look like a Nintendo Atari character, like 8-bit, whatever. And that's what she came up with. I'm like, that's perfect. I love it. Well, so we went with it. Yeah.
I was going to say, it kind of goes perfectly with, I was kind of looking around, I figured, I have this Viking-centric wallpaper up, and I was looking on the Bills website, and I found this old Nintendo-looking Bills stadium setup, and I was like, this actually works perfectly with Yimmy's little
yes,
retro
it does.
logo.
Thank
so,
you. Yeah.
No worries, it worked out perfectly.
That's perfect. So, and it's kind of like I just have to like branch off of that whole theme then. So, and like I said, it was like trying to get the channel going, and it took about a month, I'll say. It was like towards the end of February. Someone came into the channel and dropped a 50 sub bomb on me, and I was like blown away. I was like so excited because like I was sitting at maybe like 10 or 12 subs at the time, and all of a sudden 50 come by, and I'm just like, and then it's kind of like the rest was history at that point. Like that March of 2020 was devastating for the world, but I don't know, like things just started taking off then. I don't know if it was because of the whole, pandemic thing, more people were home. Yeah. And, so it's like Twitch was expanding at the time, and it's like, well, I'll do what I can, to provide entertainment. Like even I had like the St. Patrick's Day party, I did giveaways. I'm like, you guys can't go out for St. Patrick's Day, hang out, have a beer with me. And we did, like giveaways. I had this this Ireland hat on, green shirt and everything. We, kind of made a party out of it. And even before that, I think it was like right around the same time, I get a raid from Swain Games again, and I get matched up in a weekend league game. Like as soon as I get rated, and I get matched up with ScoMo. So that's like another like branding thing at that point. Like I think it was C Ballin like put out there on Twitter, like everybody get in here. Like this guy's playing ScoMo on Weekend League.
Unreal stuff.
There's three things that happened in that game. I threw a bad pick six on my first drive, totally my fault.
Yeah.
He celebrated on me, well deserved. There was a missed tackle on a Wildcat run. Of course, he was running Wildcat.
Oh my God.
That I
Texas
missed the
Rafe.
tackle
Oh
on
my goodness.
to get a touchdown. Yeah, Texas Rafe style ScoMo. I don't know.
Yeah.
Texas ScoMo, I think he was called at the time. But anyways, and there was also a dropped interception by Night Train Lane that I easily would have had for a pick six. I ended up losing 24-21. But so he came into the channel, gave me a follow after that, and it was like, wow, ScoMo, another
That's
big
incredible.
guy. Yep.
And listening to like this whole kind of start, you talk a lot about these big moments that kind of fall into your lap almost, like they're nothing that's planned or prepared in advance. It's just kind of, and that kind of is the biggest part about Twitch is getting a lucky break and being able to make the most of it. Because there's lots of people who get raids from people and they're, either not even checking their chat or they're, away from, away from keyboard, doing God knows what, but. To be able to take those raids and obviously the interest that Swain Games took in your channel and to put on a good show against ScoMo, even losing by 3, but doing it in a way that entertained your chat, that's incredible stuff. And the names that you bring up too, like the Buffalo K's, the Rhinos, like that's kind of when I probably would have hopped into your community for the first time, and I was seeing a lot of these names that are like, oh, these are all these Madden Live guys that I see, these are like the 4 people that I'm following on Twitch right now, and they're all in this one guy's chat, so they must be doing something right.
The names get bigger. I could go on if you want.
Please do.
Let's do it.
I would love you to. Yeah.
It was even shortly after that. It was like a random like Sunday night, and all of a sudden I get a raid from Zan Madden.
Yeah.
And it was like close to 300 people. I'm like, holy crap! And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, wait a minute. Here's Zan, like this incredible Madden player that's got all these ebooks and websites about how to be good at the game, and here I am being terrible at it. I'm like, well, I guess I just didn't get it. And, he basically said, like, if I want to watch a comp guy, I'll watch a comp guy. I'm here for the entertainment. He even sent out a tweet, like, after that, like, after the raid, he said, get in here now. This is the dude. And I was, like, blown away that I'm like, all of a sudden now I'm on Zan's radar. And we still talk all the time. Like, he's one of my good friends through Twitch, too. And he's helped me out so much playing the game, too, obviously.
The notorious ghost post that I remember you throwing a lot of these.
Oh, my God, the Zan ghost post.
Yeah.
Give me Hot Route Master back, and I can run that play again.
Yeah.
So it was so funny, but and then so like it kind of took off from there again, and then shortly after that we got a big raid from the legendary Austin Eckler. That did actually happen. Yeah. It was a late Sunday night. It was probably close to 3 a.m, and all of a sudden here comes Austin Eckler with the raid. And I'm like, well, now I got to stay up, and I ended up staying up to like 5:30 in the morning. I had to work the next day, so I'm just like sitting at my desk, like I don't even know how I'm alive right now.
Did you even go to sleep after that, or did you just stay up at that point and just?
I like I said, I was up. I was up, and then maybe like zonked out for like 45 minutes. I'm sitting at my desk, like just thinking about the night before, not even working. It was just incredible, and it kind of like all took off from that point.
Yeah.
It's like I saw growth in the channel, getting invited to OG Network, and then eventually, just getting through like the summer lull, and then when some Madden 21 came around, like getting invited to Madden Live events, and that was like, I'm like,
huge opportunity there too.
It's up here, and along the way then too, it gave me a lot of like, we did make it, so let's upgrade a little bit. I got a better laptop, I got a second monitor, I got a better camera, microphone, and then even leading up to the Man 22 season, I'm like, let's see if we can get a little bit more high tech again. Upgrade the microphone again, update the camera, got a new workspace, so move the whole setup. So I'm not playing it in front of my TV on a portable desk anymore. I actually have like a designated
like
space.
The one for the microwave dinners. Is that what you used to have on your old setup? Like, one of those little fold.
It actually does look like that. It was only about 19 inches long, and it had like a split back on it, so I could like raise the back of it for the monitors, and I had my laptop in the front, and it was like, I mean, you want to talk about like shambles setup, like that. That was it. But again, it was one of those things where it's like nobody knew. It was working. Like everybody's like, I love your setup. I'm like, please, if you saw what my desk looked like, you guys would be like, how the heck is it even live like right now? It's just
But that's kind of the magic
So,
of the Retro Yimmy streams. Like that's kind of what hooked me in initially. Was obviously aside from the personality and just being able to be seem like a genuinely nice person who makes
mhm.
connections with your chat and cares about your chat.
Yes.
It was kind of the my wife would call it kitschy. I don't know what that word is, but she said she saw your stream and Deekster's stream, and she loves like your stream setups, like how it's like the man cave in the
Yeah.
background. It's like you got crap everywhere. You got your memorabilia. It's like it's so cool. And
Mhm.
honestly, like I'm just looking over your shoulder right now too, and I'm just incredibly jealous. I've got my man cave in the attic. I'm very lucky to have it. But I didn't notice until you zoomed in your camera that you got some old school arcade games back there. I know you got a full bar setup as well. Was
Yep,
that something
the
you?
bar's around the corner.
Yeah,
The arcade that's actually a 1981 Midway original Pac-Man machine. I've had
incredible.
to get some work done to it. It's still probably about 90% restored. There's still some glitchiness to it, and
Yeah,
like the random shutoffs. But I mean,
yeah,
you're talking about a 40-year-old arcade machine, and then the
yeah.
one next to it is a custom built one. So I bought the frame for it, and got a custom made marquee.
Wow,
And so that's got a PC in it though with the monitor, and that
wow.
runs emulators. So and there's actually like I found a site that had an actual like joypad that you could put down, and it's even got the roller ball on it for if you wanted to play like Golden Tee or like
Oh
Centipede,
no way. Oh my
and
God, Golden
then
Tee. That's a great one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like even my buddy was over and we were playing NBA Jam on it the other day. It's like
That's
that's
such a
just
good game.
yeah.
NBA, the Boom Shakalakas, and NBA Jam is so much
All of
fun.
them,
There's
especially on arcade. Like I mean, we all grew up playing it on Sega and Super Nintendo, what have
exactly,
you.
yeah,
But you can't beat the arcade style version. That was like, yeah,
yeah.
that was
There,
really the best.
there's a couple like in Toronto right now, which is only what an hour and a half away from Buffalo, hour and
Yep,
45 minutes
yep,
maybe.
about an
Yeah,
hour
pretty
and a
much hour
half.
and a
Yep.
half. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of these bars opening up now, like right in the area that I live in. There's one called I think it's called like Z80 or something, and it's got a whole bunch of
Hmm.
retro video games and whatnot. It sucks because it opened up right before COVID started, so it had its grand opening, and then
Right.
like 2 weeks later, it had to shut down for the better part of the last 2 years. But
Hmm.
yeah, it is just a trip down memory lane. Like I never grew up going to arcades necessarily. I would play them like you said at home on consoles that I bought like Sega Genesis and whatnot.
Hmm.
But that's a pretty cool setup. And I was gonna ask too, like so the bar set you said it's around the corner there. Am I
Yeah.
seeing part of the bar right over there,
No,
like in your over
no,
your
that's
shoulders?
actually
Or
just a bar table. So actually, this little alley that I'm in is where my
yeah,
dartboard is. We don't play darts with my setup over here though anymore
that's smart.
because
Yeah, not
yeah,
even
we
with
don't
Quinn
want to do that.
Oldenburg's face on it. I remember that's on the
That could be
dartboard.
an idea, but we're not going to do that. No.
No, no.
So I'm going to maybe eventually move the dartboard, but again, it was like part of the whole lockdown thing. Like nobody came over. I wasn't really playing darts, but and honestly, my wife wants to get rid of that table because it's a Sabres table and they're god awful now. So
Yeah.
she wouldn't mind just getting rid of it.
Yeah. What about
Um,
Jack Eichel? I thought he was supposed to be like the next big thing. Is he an
what a
incredibly talented player
disappointment.
or just not
He's
really?
just a talented player, but I don't know. Like the mindset's not there. He's not a leader,
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where management had to either side with Ryan O'Reilly or Jack Eichel. When they started butting heads, and obviously what they went through to get Eichel and so many bad seasons, number 2 draft pick. They're like, nope, we're gonna side with him and get rid of Ryan O'Reilly,
Yeah.
who went on to win the what do they call it? The Stanley Chalice, the Stanley
The
Bowl,
the Calder
right after that.
Oh, the Stanley Cup. The Stanley Cup.
Stanley
That's the
Cup,
one.
thank you. And
I'm from
they,
Toronto,
they,
so we don't know about those. I haven't been alive since we've won one.
they
1967.
and they also
Yeah,
made him the most valuable participant or
I
something they
believe.
called it.
Yeah.
MVP, I believe the initials are for it.
They
I
they,
mean,
they
just
put their eggs in the wrong basket. It sounds like.
and now they're just now it's just a
Yeah.
mess over there. So, but
Yeah.
let's not waste time talking about the
No,
Sabres.
we'll ignore the Sabres. We will talk Bills in a little bit,
Good.
but going with your kind of talking about your man cave, your setup, all the cool memorabilia. Like you're obviously into all things retro, as the name seems perfect for you. The name that you said it was Rhino that came up with the name for
It
you.
was Rhino that came up with
Incredible.
it. Yes,
That's
it
so
was.
cool.
Yep. Hmm.
So what about this little guy on your shoulder here, Baby Groot? Because
Oh.
he's kind of there. We don't talk about him too much, but he is there, and
He
he's always
is
been there
part
every
of
time
it.
you've gone live. How did that happen?
He is part of it. It's one of those things where you see it all the time with Twitch. It's very easy to copy what everybody else is doing, and I was trying to, kind of like go outside the box. And I have a few things that I do live that I do that others don't, and Baby Groot's actually one of them. My sister gone to Disneyland a few years ago and saw people walking around with these baby Groots on their shoulder. Found where she could get one, and apparently you can only buy them at Disneyland, not even like on websites or online or anything.
Really?
So this is like a in park only. And
awesome.
she got it for me, and I wore it for my little niece. I would go, I am Groot, and she got a kick out of it. And like I'm just like kind of like wearing it around. And the one night I was going live, and I'm like, let's bring him on. Why not? Like, I mean, two people are here, so if the two people don't like it, I'll stop it. And it was like, no, that's
exactly.
cool. So I just kind of like went with it, and it's been one of those times where it's like even some late nights on Discord, I'll throw up my camera. I'm like, oh, Groot, you got to come with me, man. Like, we're a team. Like, this is a duo.
Awesome.
Things go wrong with the stream, it's his fault. Things go right, and then it's my fault, So
you got yourself a built-in scapegoat on your shoulder there. That's perfect.
Exactly.
And I was talking to Yimmy too, guys, before we started the podcast. We were just in Discord, kind of working through the audio and stuff. More on my end. Yimmy's an expert at all this Discord stuff. I'm a noob, but is it just one single piece of tape under his leg that holds him on there? Like, what's the setup? Not even. He just sits there. He just sits up there.
No, the problem is I have to cut a hole in all my shirts because he's permanently attached to my shoulder now. So you got to walk. Yeah, so if I wear a T-shirt out and he just happens to be with me, like I there's just a hole in my shirt, but no.
Yeah, it makes it awkward at weddings.
It's not tape. I don't know if this should ever be the mystery of life, but there has been a couple times on stream I'll either rage, get hyped, something, and I do get caught in 4K. I will say that. I have been caught in 4K, so
I hope you've been deleting your VODs. I'm gonna have to scroll backwards and find.
The clip might actually be on there. It was from last year, and it was a caught in 4K moment. The clip might be in there somewhere. If you did, I don't know how long clips stay on there for, but if they're there forever, then I'm sure it's still there. It was a funny moment.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was on a good play too. It's not like I was raging. Like I actually like something good happened. And,
so it came out of love. So you're not shoving this little guy off out of hatred. That's good.
Right. Yeah.
I'm thinking too, like with the with Baby Groot, like, are you a fan of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies that came out? Like, are you a big Marvel guy or?
I'd say like all of Marvel, not so much Guardians of the Galaxy. Like I did enjoy 1 and 2. I'm looking forward to 3, and it was just kind of like. I don't know. I like Guardians 1 over 2, but like the one shining moment of 2 was Baby Groot. He was actually like that was so. He was just so funny, he was just like this little guy and just just that I am Groot, like the little baby version of the voice, because in the first one, like he's this big monstrous guy with this deep voice, and all of a sudden he's like I am Groot, like I just love that. So
yeah. And the playlist on or the soundtrack for those movies would probably be similar to what you would hear on a Retro Yimmy stream any given night.
Pretty much, like and that's another thing that I fell in love with those movies too, because it's music that I grew up listening to. So like you come to my stream, like you're gonna hear a lot of like oldies and like 80s, 90s, and it's just like it's the music I grew up listening to. Like my parents were never really into like my sisters, that's where I got my 80s music from, and then same thing with the 90s, and then like my parents, like they used to listen to oldies all the time. Like Oldies 104 was the local Buffalo station that they would listen to, and it was basically all 60s and 70s or 50s and 60s, some 70s, and I kind of like. And it's like some of those things where it's like some people say like, oh, I love oldies music, Rolling Stones, Beatles, and I'm like, that's more classic rock. I'm talking like Buddy Holly, the Coasters, Beach Boys, like stuff like that. That's really what I'm into,
Well, that's awesome.
Like that's the kind of music that I like.
That's kind of taking me back to, driving out to visit my grandma's house. We had Oldies 1150 was our Toronto station, which is probably similar to 104.1 for you guys. And, it was like an hour and a half drive. My grandparents lived just outside of Hamilton. So we drive up there, we'd be coming home at 8 p.m. at night, which when I was a little kid seemed like it was super late. It was pitch black out. And just listening to like all those songs from the 50s on the drive home, it was lots of fond memories from that. And, but really I haven't listened to much music from that era in a long time. I kind of stopped at the 80s now. And you do have a lot of stuff from the 80s in your stream too. But, that's another thing is, aside from, enjoying the gameplay and the personality and all that in your stream, I really enjoy the playlist and, a lot of people, it's kind of the music is an afterthought, whereas I feel like for you, especially with those song dot emotes that you have, which are super cool, super retro, it really comes to the forefront. And the other thing I was going to ask too is, so I'm sure you have a playlist set up on Nightbot, but is it what percentage would you say is through song requests on your stream?
It seems like it's been down a little bit lately,
Yeah,
but I mean, some guys come in, they say just like, I just love your playlist. I'm like, well,
yeah,
I do have it for subscribers only.
yeah,
Just you got to have perks for subs.
yeah.
So
Of
song requests
course.
is something I'm gonna keep like that. And well, also before that, I've had like some of the guys that like follow for like 5 minutes and then just fill it up with garbage. I'm like, no, I
Exactly.
don't like. Okay, this has to go.
Mumble
But
rap and
so.
whatnot. Yeah.
So yeah, we leave it up to the subscribers, and like some guys will come in and load up the queue immediately before I even start, and I never even hear my playlist. And then there's
Yeah.
some nights where like there's a good like 2 hours of just my
Yeah.
playlist, and then a couple of people start requesting songs, and then at some point we got to listen to Elder Collins. So that's
Yeah.
just that's
Yeah.
also part of it. But
Absolutely. No, and it's cool like to because I did last night. I had a 6 hour stream and I
Mhm.
reintroduced song requests for the first time in
I
God knows how
remember.
many months. And it was going really well at first. I don't know how you get your song request to be. I mean, obviously you reserve the right to skip if something crazy comes
Mhm.
on, but. I would just like that kind of goes towards the vibe of your stream. It's all cool people in there with good taste in music, and I was just like, this seems like the cool table, Like I feel like I just want
Mhm.
to I trust the judgment of your chat to pick good songs, and they never disappoint. At least in my experience in there.
Yeah, there is a few times where there'll be a couple songs that come in, and I'm like, no, no, and I'll skip over that. Obviously, we are a Bon Jovi free radio,
Yes, of
program over here.
course.
We can get into that if you want to a little bit later.
I would love to.
But
Yeah,
I feel like we could spend like 5 hours on this. I don't want to make you do another 6 hour stream of just me talking, but I probably could.
yeah,
We'll stick with the questions, but yeah, um, we definitely have a good community that comes in and requests some good music, and sometimes like everybody kind of reads the room. So like if I'm like
yes,
vibing to something, they'll play like something else like that.
yeah,
Like the one night like we just had just NWA. One night we had just Ludacris. Like
yeah,
we just, and then one night it was ladies' night where it was just like like all female singers and
yeah.
everything. Like whatever.
No,
Like
so cool.
so like you have your set themes, and sometimes like we have themes without even knowing we have themes. We're
Exactly.
just like I'm just feeling this vibe and we'll do it.
Yeah, and
Something
that's
like
the
that.
best. Like everything on Twitch that's the best is the stuff that kind of crops up organically. Like that's the stuff that's really cool and makes for like memorable streams. And I remember one time like I hadn't heard Usher "Lovin' This Club." I hadn't heard that song in maybe like 5 years, maybe 10 years, and it came on in your stream, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is a great song!"
I
So
remember that.
good.
Yeah, that was just that was
Yeah,
just Thursday night, I think, right?
yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
Tuesday
yeah.
night.
Oh, and I love it. Yeah, it's just like it's always good. It's kind of like when you have the song requests and you have good people requesting the music. It's like it gives you the thrill of listening to the radio. I don't have a car anymore, so I don't drive anymore to work like I used to. So that kind of sensation of like hearing one of your favorite songs and you don't expect it coming. That's like what I like about it, which
Yep.
is another retro thing. Listening to the radio, so it kind of goes in theme with what you got going on there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Even in my car, like if I plug in Sirius XM, like I'll throw on like an oldie station or like an 80s station, and once like if I'm listening to like actual radio, it's usually like sports talk radio
Yeah,
or there's one like alternative rock station. They play like some stuff, and then there's also it's kind of funny that oldies 104 that I was talking about.
yeah,
They're now more 70s and 80s, so
that
it's still
scares
kind
me.
of like an oldie station, but it's
Yeah,
like oh my god, like that 80s. Think about it. We grew up in the 80s.
yeah,
60s was considered oldies. It's
yeah,
now 2021.
yeah,
Is 80s oldies? It's not.
yeah.
It
No,
80s
not
80s
yet.
is actually just 80s. It really
Yeah,
is. Like we'll
exactly.
still just call it 80s.
Yeah, that's one thing that kind of scares me. I always thought about that. Even as a kid, I remember thinking about yeah, like when does the switch over happen? And it kind of did happen in Toronto, where we had Q107, which was like a classic rock station, and it started playing a lot of Nirvana, a lot of grunge music on it, and then it's
Mhm.
to the point where now it even plays stuff from the early 2000s, and that's a scary idea that these classic rock stations are starting to morph up, about 20 years.
Mhm.
But that's we won't talk about mortality and all that stuff.
Right.
We don't want to get too deep into all that, but
Nah.
yeah. Yeah, so Bon Jovi free though. That's one thing that a lot of people might not understand unless they're from the Buffalo area. Like we in Toronto know it because we were on the wrong end of that story
Yes,
of
you are.
history.
Yes,
Do you
you
want
are.
to go into detail about why Slippery
Sure.
When Wet will not be played in its entirety on your stream?
It's a very quick story. Like
Yeah.
like before all that, I really didn't have a problem with Bon Jovi. I really didn't. But So after this is going back to I think it was in 2014. Ralph Wilson, the owner of the Buffalo Bills, passed away,
Yeah.
and so the team was then up for sale. And there were a couple front runners for it, and one of them was a Toronto-based company that Bon Jovi had also invested in. And we're like, a Toronto-based company, they're going to move the team. And they came out and said, "Oh no, we're not going to move the team. We have no intentions on moving the team." And you could also see because they had a couple of the Toronto series games that the Bills played, which wasn't even like a home game for us. They were supposed to be a home game and it wasn't. So that was just like a big fail over at the Rogers Center, you know. And it's like now all of a sudden, like there's this Canadian team that wants to come in and buy the Bills and say they're not going to move them, which they had very much every intention of doing. And so I kind of had like a hatred for Bon Jovi at that point. Every single bar in Buffalo posted signs, put on their websites, like absolutely, like Bon Jovi was pulled from all the bars' juice boxes, like nobody's playing them, whatever. So it was like a citywide ban of Bon Jovi. And so like we all just like hopped on board with that. Luckily, Terry Pagula came along. He was the owner of the Sabres at the time, and came along and bought the Bills, so we were saved. So we're like, yay, we're Bon Jovi free, and it was funny. I even remember reading an article last year. It was Bon Jovi had come out and put out publicly, "I will never ever play another concert in Buffalo ever again." And we're like,
good riddance.
Nobody wants you, dude. Nobody wants you. You will not be missed.
20 years, no, thank
you
you.
will not be missed.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I've
actually adopted that because I know that you spend a good deal of time like hanging out my stream, and I've adopted the no Bon Jovi policy as well.
Thank you so
kind
much.
of out of because somewhat the guilt of trying to take your beloved Bills away from you. I lived through the attempted games that we hosted at the Rogers Center, and they were miserable. Like we couldn't. I think we did a couple preseason games was how we kind of started it out, and then it evolved to being regular season games. And I'm fairly certain we couldn't even sell out a single game, even as a special event. So that alone shows me that Toronto. We have a CFL team. CFL's as a league is very much a tier 3 league, I'd say. But I don't even think that Toronto, to be honest, would be able to house an NFL team. There's just nowhere to park. There's nowhere to the transit's not good. There's really and honestly, I kind of like the fact, like as a Minnesota Vikings fan myself, I kind of like being able to pick and choose from my teams in the NFL. I think it's a unique kind of thing being a Canadian fan of NFL football. I don't know if the Toronto team came. I probably wouldn't be a fan of them, to be honest. I've been a Vikings fan for so long. How do you get people to turn tail and move over to an expansion team, I wonder?
Yeah, I mean, just growing up in the Buffalo area, my dad was a big Bills fan, and like pretty much like my whole family is too, and that just kind of so it was like bred in my head. But growing up a Bills fan, like at the time that I did, was a great time to do it. Bruce Smith, Andre Reed, Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, like all the legends. Like it was a really, really good time to grow up as a Bills fan. And it was one of those things where it's like even during like the playoff draw when they were doing bad, I'm like, I just can't do it. I still cannot root for another team. I just can't. I want to and I can't. They were so bad, but you just couldn't do it. Not like the Sabres. The Sabres I got no problem giving up on. But the Bills, it's just like it was just so embedded in my head, and like I said, a lot of my family is a big influence on that. They're like, we can't give up. This is our year. Always our year. Always our year. And it's never.
No.
But then of course we drafted the Savior a couple years ago, and again, I'm going off. I could go off topic all night. I want you to stay. I don't want. If we have another 296 questions to go on your list, I don't want to hold you.
No, you know what? I haven't even glanced at it, to be honest. I kind of figured, and I kind of went off script a little bit with Go Geezy for the first one. I had no idea what I was doing. So I had to kind of get my mind in that. How do you run a podcast? What kind of questions do people want to know? What do I want to know? And then last week with King Ka, I always say against as if it's a head-to-head game. I'm so used to it. Yeah, against. I'm doing a podcast.
Well, you squared off last night. I think that's why it's still fresh in your head.
Yeah, exactly. That's got to be it. The friendly we played. No, but last week we kind of went a bit off script, and honestly, that was kind of we just kind of go with the flow. And I was thinking, Bon Jovi parlaying into talking about growing up a Bills fan, and then now the Bills being 3-1 and having by far the biggest point differential in the league. What's the status of the Bills right now? Would you say? As an unbiased Bills fan.
just being a very, very happy time for the Bills. And, especially the season they had last year, it reminded me, it was like I was a kid all over again.
Yeah.
I think it was it was 1991, I remember. It was the last time the Bills went 13-3. And, even like their last loss of the season was when they tanked at the end of the year. Like it was a game against the Lions and like none of the starters were in. And it was just kind of like, it's just kind of like one of those things where it's like, so they really went like 13-2 and then just, lost the final game by default. But it was just such a thrill to be a Bills fan. And then like all the excitement that the team brought last year and just watching Josh Allen grow and get him the weapons that he needed, even like after his first year in, I didn't want him to play at all. But I'm glad they did because the coaching staff was able to say, like, all right, these are the weapons that he needs. Yeah. So they were able to get some upgrades on the offensive line. They were able to bring in Cole Beasley and John Brown at the time to help him out. And they basically said they were like one starting wide receiver away from being a really, really good team. Yeah. And I'll even bring this up. It was the trade deadline of 2 seasons ago. I'm like, the Bills are going to make moves for Stephon Diggs. They're going to try to get this guy. He is really not happy in Minnesota. Yeah, I mean, you lived through it. You guys probably wanted him out of here too, and just like no results, poor attitude, whatever. Yeah. And so then when they made the deal for the deal, to get Stephon Diggs, Jefferson, or for the like that was a fair trade offer, like right there. Oh yeah.
That's probably one of the few examples I can think of in the NFL of a fair trade that's kind of worked out for both teams, really. And obviously, it's always a gamble. Like we could go ahead and our front office could have picked somebody terrible, another offensive lineman who never panned out. But Jefferson, his skill set is very similar to Stephon Diggs. He's a little bit younger. He's a great route runner, not super tall, not the biggest burner in the league, but just runs amazing routes and is for a slimmer guy great at catching in traffic. And I remember Stephon Diggs on the Vikings. Him and Thielen were so much fun to watch. Obviously, the Minneapolis Miracle. For me personally, I know some people are like, if he's disgruntled, move on. But like, I'll always have the highest opinion of Stephon Diggs because he gave me one of my favorite sports memories of all time. And it's to the point where I'm happy to see him succeeding in Buffalo. Like, I want to see him do well for you guys.
Yeah. I actually remember that Minnesota game. So I was at my friend's house, who also he's a big fan of New Orleans. He loves music, loves like the whole Mardi Gras thing. So he's kind of like a part-time Saints fan. So I was watching the game with him, and out of respect for him, like when he just like walked away after that play happened, I just kind of like looked. I'm like, I feel like I should console him, but as a football fan, I want to stand up and cheer because that was an amazing play. Like it was incredible. And I just remember, like, all the anarchy after that. I'm like, they got to come out and kick the extra point still. Like, where is everybody going?
Everyone's running out the tunnel already.
And and at that point, I'm like, I wonder how many money lines got messed up because of that play. And then because they didn't, they ended up not kicking the extra point.
They like, a kneel or something,
went for 2 and they just need it or something like that. Yeah. It was just like, I'm like, so money was lost. My friend is devastated. And it was just such a good play, though. So I'm like,
oh, man. And it was such a big missed tackle. I think it was, I don't know if it was Marcus Williams who missed the tackle, the safety back there. He was a rookie at the time, and he just kind of
missed the assignment,
like, and it was bad. And I remember thinking when he made the catch too, because it was to the sidelines, and I was like, okay, I didn't know if there was a deep safety back or whatnot. I remember just watching him run up the sideline. I was like, okay, there's still time on the clock. He can get out of bounds. We can kick our field goal. And just to see him run to the end zone, throw his helmet.
There's nobody there. The helmet throw. Yeah. And again, I love that the ref threw the flag right away, rightfully so. But I mean, at that point,
read the room.
Like,
read the room.
Yeah, I'm sure the coach did not yell at him at that point.
No,
it's like they took the 15-yard penalty, and I mean, the crowd was just insane at that point.
Wild.
Like that was just incredible.
Yeah.
But going back to like the whole trade thing, and like you said, as soon as the trade happened, everybody thought it was a horrible idea. It's like they're like, oh, the Bills got screwed on this one, and Diggs comes out and leads the league in receptions and in receiving yards. So, you got a great receiver out of it too. Yeah. Justin Jefferson is going to be great for many, many years. So honestly, I think it was a fair trade.
I really do too. Honestly, it's one of the few trades where nobody got swindled and everybody walks away happy.
Exactly. It was a very even trade.
The veteran. You guys are ready to compete now. And who knew that Josh Allen would take that next step this early in his career? I remember a game that I'd circled on my calendar. I remember because we were selling our condo at the time, so we had to like every few days we'd have to get out of the house for like an hour, let somebody come in, the realtor, to show him around. And I remember my wife was going to go shopping, and I was going to go over to the bar and watch the Vikings-Bills game. It was in Minneapolis, too. Yeah, and I watched the first half, and I'm pretty sure it was like it might have been 28-0 by the end of the first half. I remember Josh Allen hurdled over us at one point. He was running all
Anthony
over
Barr.
us.
It was right. It was over Anthony Barr of all
Yes.
players too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there was there again, like where I bought this T-shirt. The company, like, they made a T-shirt like that night of Josh Allen hurdling over Anthony
Yeah.
Barr.
Oh my
And
goodness.
they even I still have to pick up this one. There was like an 8-bit version of it. It was like Tecmo Bowl characters of Josh like jumping over
That's so
him,
cool.
and yeah,
Yeah.
like
That's
yeah,
that
yeah.
was
I
I
remember that
didn't
game.
realize. I thought it was going to be an easy win, to be honest. And I think that
Oh,
was the year we
we
ended
did
up around
too.
500 that year. I think we didn't end up making the playoffs that year, and that was that might have been the year after we won 13 games, I think, and the next season was a big letdown.
Yeah.
Because we did have Kirk Cousins at the helm, so that was definitely after our good run. But yeah, like you were talking about how the Bills had 13 wins last year. It is a crazy feeling. I had hopes. The year that the Vikings were hosting the Super Bowl, that was the first time I went to Minneapolis to watch a game at the new U.S. Bank Stadium. It was beautiful. Had a blast there. And the Vikings won 13 games. And I was like, you know what? This is kind of like seeming like a team of destiny thing. Like, imagine being able to play. Because I had seen how crazy it is in that stadium. And with the Skull chant and everything, I was like, this might be the year. And then, obviously, after our Minneapolis Miracle, the Eagles came out. And I didn't even watch the second half of that game.
Yeah.
We were down so poorly. It was awful. So, but you can really, I'm sure, like, how vividly do you remember, the 4 Super Bowl trips of the Buffalo Bills? Four straight? Was it 4
one of those
straight?
things? It was 4 straight. Yeah.
That's incredible.
So
Yeah.
it's like you can say what you want. It's like, oh, the Bills just love to lose Super Bowl. BILLS. Boy, I love losing Super Bowls. Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But even at the time, to go to 4 Super Bowls in a row was pretty incredible.
Oh, yeah.
And we could talk about the Vikings game, and all right, I see Sniper in the chat. We'll talk about, like, Sniper. I'm worried about the Chiefs game tomorrow night. I am.
Yeah, I see
The
him
Chiefs
there.
are on a roll right now. They're trying to they took a huge step back into where they want to be last week. The Bills are hot, but they're going into Kansas City on Sunday night. It's going to be a dogfight. I'm here for it. I'm ready to watch it. But I mean, that's why I've been quiet all week.
Yeah,
I'm just. Yeah, it's tough to go in there and win, like you said. It's tough to go in there and win.
It's nerve-wracking. I mean, the Chiefs beat my Vikings, I think, without Patrick Mahomes a couple years ago. So really, their team is pretty deep, and their offense is crazy. So your cornerbacks are going to need to be running wind sprints all week to get ready for this thing.
Yeah,
just to keep up. They got so many burners on that squad. And Tyreek Hill is there anybody who can guard Tyreek Hill on a deep route? I don't know. Maybe Tre'Davious White. Will he be on him? I don't know.
Maybe if they have maybe if he wears Daniel Jones shoes, and then 10-yard line can stop him or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's about it.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, going back to the Super Bowl. So watching some like ESPN specials and everything like that kind of like brought me back to like the whole thing about it. And so it's like I do have like vivid memories. I do remember the missed kick, and just like we were home. My dad was he was just shook.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like I just remember like bits and pieces of it, but then I also remember like you said, watching like some of like the highlights from the game. Like there were some moments that built up to that also kind of led to that. So it's like Bruce Smith getting a safety in the end zone. Like he was like 2 feet away from the ball, and as long as his arms were, he could just not reach it and stop it from going out of bounds.
Yeah.
Like that would have been a touchdown instead of a safety. Like there's
5 points right there. Yeah.
Exactly. That's a swing right there. And then I think it was Otis Anderson broke off like a really long like 3rd and 8 run. A couple missed tackles to get a first down to put them in field goal range, something like that. The Washington game, I don't have any memory of. I just remember it being like a terrible, terrible, awful experience.
Yeah.
And then and it was one of those things like even after that, going up against the Cowboys for 2 years in a row, like the Cowboys were the hot team at that
Jerry
time.
Jones, or not Jerry Jones. That was the Jimmy Jones led team.
That was Jimmy Jones, yeah.
Yeah,
Jimmy Jones, head
yeah.
coach. I mean, you're talking Emmitt Smith, you're talking Michael Irvin, you're talking, Jim. I said Jim Kelly, Troy Aikman.
Yeah.
But so it was basically like the 2 hottest teams in the league squaring off against each other, and just Dallas just had that step on us, unfortunately. Out coached, outplayed a little bit. We will still bring up the famous Leon Lett Don Beebe play, which is just like a great example for any young athlete out there. I don't even know if you'd see plays like that in the NFL anymore. Except for like DK Metcalf last year when he chased down that one defender for the tackle.
And
like that's about
physics in the process too.
Right.
Yeah. It's like a Madden level pursuit angle, like where the quarterback catches your 96 speed guy up the sideline. Yeah.
Yeah. Really. Right. Yeah, so you had Leon Lett sprinting up the sideline after recovering a fumble, and not even knowing Don Beebe was right behind him, and sure enough, he stopped carrying the ball, put it out to the side to start to celebrate. Here comes Don Beebe just diving and swatting it right out of his hands, before he could cross the goal line. I mean, like say what you will, it's like, yeah, they still lost, but it's like they didn't give up. You play to the final whistle, and that's what we learned from that. My cousin actually has an autographed picture of Don Beebe, and the photograph is him diving to swat away the ball. And that's the picture he got autographed, and that's like perfect.
That's so cool. And is Don Beebe, is that who does your stream schedule for you?
It is. Nice. It is. Our good friend D Live, when I first started streaming, he got a cameo for me, and I was just blown away. I'm like, what did I do to deserve this? So Don Beebe shouts out my channel,
That's so cool.
Yeah. So anybody needs my stream schedule, that's how you get it.
Beautiful. I love it. But yeah, so you've had a lifetime worth of experiences. I probably didn't really get into football huge until right around the time when Tom Brady was taking over for Drew Bledsoe. So I was fairly late to football, actually. I didn't play football until I was in grade 10. I grew up, kind of, it's crazy to think now because I haven't watched CFL in so long and it's such a subpar product, but I haven't actually watched a CFL game in ages, but I grew up watching CFL football because we had a former Bills quarterback at the helm when I was a kid, and it was Doug Flutie, and he was incredible. Yep. Like, it was actually at that time, the CFL was kind of a hot ticket, compared to what it is now. I remember the Toronto Argonauts were owned by John Candy and a bunch of the SCTV guys. It was a whole bunch of I think Eugene Levy might have had a state. It was like all these Canadian actors. Dan Aykroyd had bought the team, and they had Doug Flutie. Do you have memories of Doug Flutie being on the Bills? Yes, I do,
very much so. Oh my God, he was so much fun to watch. Yeah, he was like the original escape artist. Like the way he could just move around in the back of the pocket was incredible, and he was always criticized because he was so short. Yeah, and you could even see it a lot of times. Like he would roll out of the pocket, he would jump up in the air to throw the ball. Like he didn't have set feet lead. Yeah. He jumped up to throw it, and I think he also had half a second to decide who he wanted to throw it to while he was in the air and did it. And he was just such an incredible athlete. He was just so much fun to have here. And that brings us to the whole the start of the playoff drought, the home run throwback against the Titans. That was a game that so at the time the Bills had actually traded to Jacksonville our first round pick to get Rob Johnson. That sucked. And they also brought in Doug Flutie at the same time. And, Rob Johnson just wasn't it. So they brought in, Doug Flutie, and he basically got us to the playoffs, with his amazing gameplay. Yeah. And so they benched him at the end of the year, and for the final game, so Rob Johnson played, and he played great. Rob Johnson actually played an amazing game. And I don't know if I can't remember if it was an owner decision or whose decision it was, but they decided to go with Rob Johnson in that playoff game. Yeah. And, honestly, even remembering that game, maybe Flutie would have done a little bit better, but maybe not. That was when Javon Curse was in his rookie year, and our offensive line just could not contain him. Yeah. That's they're like, oh, you gotta watch out for this guy. They call him the Freak, and he was a freak. Yeah, that guy was a monster. You couldn't stop him. Yeah. And then of course, it came down to it, the whole the forward pass that they had on the kickoff return. It wasn't a lateral. It was a forward pass. I will say that to the day I die. Yeah. And it's just. Yeah. And that just led to bad times after that. The Bills hit a 17-year playoff drought, and Flutie went on to San Diego, and I remember playing him against the next year, and he did amazing against us, and we're still sitting here with Rob Johnson. That just led to many years of just bad quarterbacks.
Yeah, that kind of the what we call the Chicago Bears type situation, where I can't really remember the Bears having a good quarterback. Justin Fields might be it, but it's a tough thing when you can't get any stability at the most important position on the field. It does not. It's not a recipe for success, really. You know. But,
It was probably the only quarterback like during that time that we actually could like root for. I would think is Ryan Fitzpatrick because
yeah.
just how can you not?
Yeah.
Like I don't know, like just felt like that's when he really started being called the Beard. That's when he was like growing it out and everything. I'm like, how can you just not love this guy?
Yeah.
You know, like he would play great. He had a great football mind. He just didn't have the tools for it, and you know, just a lot of final drive losses. You know, bad interception, not getting a fourth down or whatever, and it's just
no,
it came down.
He's definitely a fan favorite. Like, was he? Was he from Harvard? Did he go to Harvard?
He went to Harvard. Yeah, he did.
So he's brilliant. He's a brilliant mind too, eh? So you know, hopefully, his mental health is all in check after having a long NFL career too. You know, but
I think you'll see him on the sidelines in the future years when he decides to hang it up. I think you will see him, you know, either I don't know, maybe not an offensive coordinator, but definitely a QB coach. Like he could definitely do that. Like just a, you know, smart dude, good football mind, everything.
Yeah. I actually was fortunate enough. I've only been to maybe 2 NFL games my whole life. Crazy enough, I've watched a ton of them, but I've only been to 2. I went to the one in U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, and then my last road trip before COVID hit was we went to Cincinnati. Me and some of my college roommates, my old college roommates, like 10 years before, and we went down to Cincinnati, and it was Buccaneers versus Bengals, and I think Jameis Winston started for the Buccaneers. Probably threw 4 picks in the first half. They were getting blown out. They were down by probably at least 21 points, possibly 28 points. And Fitzmagic came in the second half. Yeah. Immediately threw 21 unanswered points. He tied the game up, and it might have been like, I think the score was in the 40s at that point for both teams. Like it was still a lot of back and forth, and it was incredible. I felt like I was witnessing something amazing. Like him coming off the bench there's some magic like pixie dust that gets sprinkled on him. He just has that X factor, you know? I
just kept saying too, I'm like, why didn't you do that in Buffalo? Where was that?
Yeah. And, you know, I'm sure the next week he came back down to earth, but like in spurts, he really, you know, he plays fearless. That's what I think probably people in Buffalo would have appreciated about him. You know, he takes his share of hits, but he does play fearless. You know, it might result in his QB rating not being what it could be, or his passer rating, maybe throwing a few ill-advised picks, but at least he throws them. He's not just a check-down game manager, you know, because there's nothing. You know, when we got Kirk Cousins on the Vikings, you know, the idea was our defense is so good that a game manager could do it for us. But now I'm in the new NFL the way it is. I think there's no room for game managers winning Super Bowls anymore. No. You got to be a slinger at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you think about like the Tom Brady's and the Peyton Mannings. Like you don't find those in the NFL too often anymore. Yeah. So you got to find guys that can make the right decisions and can also move around a little bit. You know. Yeah, like Peyton Manning, like he was not mobile, but he had a great offensive line also. He really did. Like he had one of the best lines throughout his career, and just made like decisions. Like even if he didn't have a good line, he's like, well, I'm not going to have much time to throw, so we're going to do this instead. Like like the absolute like definition of a field general. You know. Even going back to guys like Jim Kelly, you know, the way he would run the K-gun offense, the no huddle, like he just. They just kept coming, you know, like high scores and just kept coming. But, you know, it's like you look up a lot of the stats, and it was a lot of it. You look up some of these old players, you look up their touchdown to interception ratio, and it's not like it is nowadays. Like they would throw picks all the time. Oh, yeah. They would, you know, because
look at Terry Bradshaw's stats. It looks like he's a bum, but he has multiple championships. It's the time that you play in, for sure. Yeah, you take your chances. You take your shot. It doesn't work out. Defense stops you. You get the ball back. You do something different this time. Like that was just the way it is. Like, where today's NFL, like, it really is kind of like it's focused on mistake-free football, which I get, but I don't know. You kind of like when the guys take the chances a little bit. Yeah, 100%.
It makes them a little more exciting to watch. You know, it's especially like a 50-50 ball or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
he's going to come down with it. Yep.
Now that you have guys like Stephon Diggs, I remember I was surprised because of his frame that him and Adam Thielen were both in the top 5 of contested catches. So, like, even though he's not a imposing, you know, physical presence, he just there's something about Stephon Diggs. He can just catch a ball in traffic like nobody else, and
he just finds a way to come down with it. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so honestly, we've talked a lot about football. We talked a lot about, you know, your start to streaming. I wanted to get a little bit into talking about Madden this year and the game this year, and what your thoughts are on the state of the game and next gen, things that I don't know about because I play current gen on PS4 still.
I think I'm just so used to next gen now. I couldn't even like I played it a little bit because before the season started, my brother-in-law was still on Xbox, so I had to play like the old gen version of the game when we wanted to play against each other. He got
Yeah.
the new Xbox now, so now we're able to play regularly. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit it is a little bit slower compared to like old gen,
Yeah.
but honestly, it's so much easier to make your reads, make your decisions, and
Yeah.
like I'm just so used to player movement now.
Yeah.
Even like like running with the ball is a little bit easier. It's a little bit easier to do like little stop and goes and
Yeah.
like change directions. Like it's a
Yeah.
little bit easier to do that, and I like that part of it.
Yeah.
Um, but as far as like overall gameplay, I'm not that football savvy to recognize when like things are broken and when things are
Yeah.
not broken. But you can definitely see when there's like variations in speed of players. Like
Yeah.
we even said, like offensive or a defensive lineman, like like catching up to Michael
Yeah.
Vick or
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill running down the field. Like that should not happen.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
and it's one of those things where it's like don't even tell me like player fatigue or either anything like
Yeah.
that. Like
Yeah.
and like I see it all the time, even like against like cover three because I have a couple designed cover three plays, and like I'll throw it like way down the field, and all of a sudden their cornerback gets like a super burst of speed,
Yeah.
and
The
can catch up
click-ons
to
are
my
very
guy. Yeah.
overpowered, and then in some cases I find, and again, it's going to be some of our experiences will be a little bit different, and it might
Yeah.
not be the case if. So let me know if it's not the case there, but I find click-ons are either super overpowered, like with your cornerback, he can cover so much ground in the last like
Yeah.
15 yards before the catch, or they click on this year, and I've noticed that they've been terrible. Like they've been not only not near the closest guy, but might be 3 guys away who I click onto. It's been so bad on current gen,
Yep.
which is super frustrating. It's just the inconsistencies of not knowing what to expect on any given play. But have you been trying to compete in weekend league? I know this week we talked a little bit. You're going to be taking a step back from it a little bit, possibly.
Yeah, weekend league this year has just been even more frustrating than anything that I've ever experienced. So
Yeah.
head to head has been very, very frustrating this year.
Yeah.
But like I noticed, like this past week, like I was on like going back to like last week Saturday, like in head to head, I was on a 12-game winning streak. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't know how this
Nice.
is happening, but
Yeah.
I changed up my defensive strategy a little bit. I'm getting more used to it. It's not perfect. No defense is
Yeah.
perfect, but it's something that I can make adjustments to and I'm comfortable with doing. So I do
Yeah.
that, and then I still try to have like some of my same offensive plays. Maybe it's just like it's not supposed to work in the game this year. Like
Yeah.
stuff that would work in Man 20 or 21 doesn't work this year.
Yeah.
There could be things like that. One thing that I am frustrated with, they did change the Bills playbook. Like a lot of the formations, a lot of the plays I like to run are gone,
Yeah.
and that's like even more frustrating. 'Cause it's like, okay, it'll get me to pick other plays, which I have like one or two other plays that I go to now as opposed to, but
Yeah.
like, give me back my Z spot bread and butter play. Oh my gosh, I
That's a
missed
good
that one
one.
so much.
That's a
The
good
bread
one.
and butter
I
is
run that all
gone
the
this
time.
year.
Yeah.
Oh,
Does the Bills
but
playbook have bunch in it? Is that one of the formations?
they do. Yeah.
Yeah. See. Yeah. Well, first
they
of
do
all,
have gun bunch, single back bunch,
Yeah.
bunch ace, all that.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I just want to let you know you've been mispronouncing it. It's called Z spot, actually. That's what I call
Z
it on my
spot.
stream.
Excuse me.
Z
Excuse me.
spot. In the
Z
Canadian
spot.
stream, we
Right,
call it
right.
Z spot. Chat hates it every time I run that play because I have to.
Just because of the way you say it, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a
Nah,
good one for sure.
love it.
And are you running? Is the goal to have a 50 out of 50 Bills team by the end of the year? Where are you at right now with like?
Oh, by the end of the year, I'd like
build?
to. It's 45 out of 50 right now. Doing the 50 out of 50
nice.
Bills. Like the offensive line is not all that great, and
Yeah.
honestly, I like using too many other players. Like,
Yeah.
I got Sean Taylor out there. I got who's the guy I just picked up? Jamal Adams. I just got
Yeah.
recently, and then the Bills are weak at defensive tackle right now, so I don't have like anybody that that I can use there. But even like last year, like the Bills got a lot of love in players.
Kyle
and
Williams was one of the first legends I think last year.
Kyle Williams was huge, and then also getting the team captain, Leroy Glover, with Bills games, like that was huge. So I'm like, cool, like my defensive tackles.
I loved having a DT as a team captain, as opposed to like a Jack Youngblood or whatever, or a low speed wide receiver. Yeah, definitely.
I do miss Andre Reed and Bruce Smith. They were not in Man 21. I did miss them last year, but two of the guys I was really impressed with last year, and I was surprised that they got such good cards was Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. Like So Poyer I didn't really use too much in the year, and then all of a sudden he got a playoff card where he got like kemped up to like 98 speed or something
It was
like
the
that.
95
I'm like,
overall Poyer. Yeah, they came
yeah,
out. Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
and I'm like, this guy's like now my user in the box, like, and he
yeah,
was incredible, like,
yeah.
and even like throughout the year, Micah Hyde when he got his limited card back in, it was early, it was like right
Yeah.
around like this time, and that card was on my field through like January, like
I
it
had
just
him
played
too.
so
His
lights
zone
out.
coverage was like insane for early in the. I think he was
Yeah,
like 95 or something stupid zone. Like it was
yeah,
like 5 zone coverages higher than the
hmm,
next closest safety.
yep,
That
yeah,
was a
he had.
super usable card. Yeah,
Oh yeah, he had like 94 speed on my team, and then yeah,
yeah,
like 95 zone or something like
yeah,
that. Yeah, I
yeah.
think a lot of people were actually using that
Oh
card.
yeah,
It was
definitely.
just so good.
Yeah,
And then it was right around the time when mid zone KO was broken, so I had those all
yeah,
over my field too,
yeah,
and like just, everybody was just making plays.
yeah,
Um, so it's kind of exciting, like this year when I actually get a Bills player, but like it just seems like some of them they're dogging them on speed a little bit. Even like
yeah.
the Stefan Diggs limited.
Is it
Like I tried to
89 or
get it,
something?
but
Yeah,
I was too poor for it.
yeah.
They gave him 89
I
speed. I'm
know.
like, oh, come for like a limited.
So
Like
he's not
who's
as
gonna
good as
be
Jamar Chase, who came out on day one.
right?
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah,
frustrating.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm like, even on my team right now, he'd only be 91 speed.
yeah, yeah.
Like that's no better than anybody I got on the team now.
Exactly.
Because I'm running with the Ahmad Rashad and the Devin Hester card. He'd
Oh,
be one
Modern
more
Shot had
speed
Bill
than
Skims. Nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. He does. Yep. For the 1 year in apparently 1975.
Yeah. I
Uh,
see. I know him as a
Good.
broadcaster. I don't know him
Yeah.
as a player as much. Like I
Everybody
knew
knows him
him
as a broadcaster. Yeah.
doing
Like,
mostly NBA stuff too, right? Like I don't
hmm,
remember him doing a whole lot of
yeah.
NFL. I remember him doing more
Right.
NBA. But
NBA. Yeah.
yeah, and I also remember him
So,
not seeming to age at all. Like I see him every time I see him, he looks like he hasn't aged. So
right.
he's obviously got good genetics. But I think
Yeah.
was I
Yeah.
don't know if he was a Heisman winner or if he was like a fantastic college player. But I thought that was a cool card to add into the game. I think he was
Yeah.
the Vikings team diamond, right?
He was,
Yeah,
and he was part of the collegiate program too. I do remember seeing the list
yeah,
because they came out with like who played on what teams and whatever.
yeah,
So I remember seeing Ahmad Rashad there, and I'm like, okay, like, and I had to look it up. I'm like, oh, he was with the Bills in 1975. I did not know.
yeah.
So
Yeah, well, you guys have some good cards. You had the golden ticket last year too. You had Josh Allen was 2 years ago, right? The golden
two
ticket.
years ago was the Josh Allen card,
Time
and
flies.
that
Oh my
oh
god.
my god, that was such a good card.
Yeah,
He only had like 92 speed or something like that, chemmed
yeah,
up or whatever, but he had 99s across the board for
yeah,
everything else, like 99
yeah,
throw power, 99 deep, 99 short. It was just such a good card.
yeah,
So and that was before. That's when you just went off the quarterback's release. You didn't need Gunslinger. I didn't have
yeah,
it on him. Didn't need it.
yeah,
You just run Hot Rod Master and what else did I do? I think no Pocket Deadeye was the one at the time, and
yeah,
then like Protected you needed to run
yeah,
because everybody had that the Jadeveon Clowney
yeah.
free
That one
agent
was
card.
nasty.
That was
Yeah,
deadly.
yeah,
And then last year Josh's cards were good early on in the
yeah,
year, and then even like when he got his playoff card leading up to his 97, like it wasn't the greatest. I was just hoping he was going to get MVP because I thought he was
yeah,
going to get a 98, and then
yeah,
powered up he would have 99 to get Hot Route Master.
yeah,
But obviously, Aaron Rodgers got the MVP, and even his
yeah.
card was a 97. I'm like, it was a 98 the year
I know.
before.
Yeah,
So I'm like,
exactly.
yeah,
And
and then
Aaron
I'm like,
Rodgers
there's
ended up getting the golden ticket, which was like a
he
really
got a
good
golden
card.
ticket anyway, so he
Yeah.
got Hot Route Master on both of his cards anyways.
Yeah, yeah,
So
and like I'm using Josh Allen right now, and I think he's incredible. Like I
mhm,
obviously, if I had money for Dan Marino, I might go out and get him. But honestly, at this point, my biggest ability is Gunslinger. I love Gunslinger. That's like the one thing I
mhm,
don't even know how to use Hot Rod Master properly because you need to
yeah.
have some sort of an idea how to pick apart a defense, and I still don't have that
Mhm.
yet where I'm at in Madden. But
Yeah, honestly, this year with that, so like I ran a lot of plays like last year in Madden 20 that required Hot Route Master, and
yeah,
like I said, the way they gutted the Bills playbook this year, I'm like, oh, a lot of my plays are gone. So
yeah,
even if I got Hot Route Master, I
you
wouldn't
could,
even know what to do with it, like because
yeah.
a lot of the plays where I would use it is gone.
Yeah,
So I would have
you
to
could
like dig
recreate some of
through.
them somehow, recreate the
That's
route
how I would have to
combos,
try,
but
and
yeah,
it's like if I have to do all that hoopla
yeah,
just to get it to go, and then
yeah,
to go after a quarterback who happens to get this ability. I have
yeah,
a tight end apprentice on George Kittle right now, and then
yeah,
backfield master on Thurman Thomas.
yeah.
That's working for now. A
Nice.
slot apprentice maybe eventually would be kind of fun to mess
Yeah,
around with, but not necessary at this point.
yeah,
So even if someone's like, "Oh, does he get Hot Rod Master?" I'm like, "I'm not a concern for me right now."
yeah, yeah.
So
So you're kind of crafting a poor man's Hot Road Master with your abilities
yep,
out there on the receivers. Yeah,
yeah,
and I'm
a lot
glad
of
that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say a lot of that's helping out too. Is Swain Games. He runs the Bills playbook,
Yeah,
and he doesn't have Hot Rod Master. He never did.
yeah,
So I was actually able to get a lot of plays. You know, like he's like I watched his stream. I watched some of his plays, and
yeah,
like, oh, okay, he's got a really good play here. You know, so
yeah,
like then I'll do it. And I took a clip of it the other night. I'm like, Swain, does this one look familiar? Huh? Huh?
yeah.
Huh? So you know, it
Nice.
kind of helps out like running off the like when somebody else has your same playbook,
Oh yeah.
because you can get ideas from them.
Yeah,
You know,
and what
so
a
I
bonus that is too, like being able to run your theme team's playbook as well. Like most people, it's like
yes.
it's two wasted slots, you know. And
Yeah.
I don't really love the idea of playbooks counting towards team chemistry, but you
Mm-mm.
know, in your case, that's actually a huge W. Like, do you run the
Yep.
Bills defense as well, or are you running a different Bills?
No, I'm actually in Tampa Bay defense right now. I've
Nice,
adopted the Colt 45's VPL
nice.
defensive game plan, and it worked.
Yeah,
Like I said, again, it's not the greatest, but I'm
yeah,
comfortable with it, and
yeah,
I can send some heat out of it.
yeah, for sure.
So I'm just getting more used to it. It's mostly it's a 2-4-5 odd, which I've never run in my
Yeah,
life. So I was in nickel normal last
yeah,
year. Like I was nickel normal forever.
yeah,
So that's definitely an adjustment that I got to get used to, like where the players move. Like
yeah,
my thing is like getting my lineup set. You know, it's like now I have to like sub guys in and out, and I'm like I don't like that. Like I
yeah,
just like setting it up where like it's set and forget it. You know, now I got
yeah.
sub
It's
guys in and out.
true.
It's like all right, I'll
Same.
move
It's
this
like
guy
I'm
here and all that. Yeah.
exactly.
So
Last year was the first time because you know Madden 20 was you know middle linebackers could still stay on the field. Like
yeah.
guys like the Troy Polamalu, middle linebacker,
Oh,
Golden
that card
Pickett.
was good.
You
Yep.
could keep them on the field. They could cover. They could animate. Last year was the first year that you know you kind of did have to start subbing in safety. It is just an
Yes.
extra step. It's like my
Hmm.
God, you know, I don't know. I've seen some people. Maybe it was Zan. You know, Zan's pretty vocal about commenting on stuff that you think should be changed in the game. And I
Hmm.
saw, you know, the idea that people can't have preset audibles. Like, why do we
Yeah.
really need to do this whole scramble to set our defensive audibles and
Right.
forget to set them, or, you know, or to
Yeah.
set our zone drops if we have like a default one we like to use? Can we not just do
There.
that in the settings menu and
Mhm.
save ourselves the stress? Especially for
Maybe.
streamers too,
Yeah.
because it just takes away from being able to read the chat for a couple minutes, you know, when
Mhm.
you're doing it.
Well, it also takes away from the guys that do have like the ebooks and everything. Like look at Zan, like you spoke
Yeah.
spoke of. Again, I'm a huge fan of Zan Madden. Like the way he breaks down the game and his knowledge of the game. Like if he voices an opinion about the game,
Yeah.
that's what I read into because like I don't think anybody knows more about this game than he does.
Yeah.
He's worked with the game before. He's done like actual guides for the game. Like he knows all the ins and outs of Madden.
Yeah.
So like for a guy like him to have like all those like pre-screen adjustments, so like if he's streaming a game, like it's like he's now like showing everybody like who's subbing in and out, what his zone depths
Yeah.
are at and everything like that. It's like, well, it's like for these content guys like that want to sell their ebooks, it's like everybody can sit there and see what they're doing. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
that's you shouldn't really
Yeah.
so yeah, to have like an off screen where you can do all that stuff and get it set and ready. I even said you should be able to sub in like free safeties at a sub linebacker position,
Oh
and
yeah.
for the love of God, give me practice mode. Give me
Yeah,
practice
hundred
mode.
percent. MUT practice mode needs to happen. Like being able to
Yeah.
even cater the abilities you play against based on what's
Hmm.
the meta. Because like you know, when if one
Yeah.
step ahead is the meta, you need to learn how to like what routes are going to be
Hmm.
one step ahead. Because I remember last year when they became super OP, I was struggling. Or even when bench press was the meta early in the year last year,
Yeah.
I was like, I wish I could have practiced against it, but I have to figure it out and get beaten down, you know, in front of everybody
Hmm.
who's in my stream, you know, to get better at the game.
Yep.
Practice mode is one thing that seems like it would take so little effort to just add that
Hmm.
one little tweak to it. Those are
Yeah.
the frustrating things. Like,
You can go in there and you can practice with like different abilities. You like do you like one thing better than another. Like you just have to do everything on the fly and in the game, and it's like it
yeah,
can be super frustrating at the
yeah,
times.
no, absolutely. And it's you know my gameplay this year I feel like has taken a step forward, but it's hard to know because I'm playing current gen, and you know I look at next gen, specifically Xbox, and every pretty much because PS5s were so hard to get when they came out. It seems like every competitive demon for the most part is on Xbox. So weekend
Hmm.
league. You know, imagine it was bad last year. Imagine how bad it is now with every
Yeah.
single competitive player getting in there. I can't even imagine the amount of
Yeah.
sweats.
Knock on wood, I have not run into anybody this year that's like a super comp guy or anything like
Yeah,
that. Like last year I ran into I played Civil once. I
yeah.
played shoot. I think I got matched up with Jaybird last year too,
Oh
was one
yeah,
of the games. Yeah,
yeah.
like
Bot Wars. Oh,
Yeah.
there's Jaybird. Man,
It's like
that's
these are
wild.
guys you don't want to run into. There
100%.
was one other one that I cannot remember for the life of me right now, but this year, knock on wood, I haven't. Towards the end of last year, a couple of the guys like I remember Roy McCracken got matched up with K-Mac one night. It's like
Yes, I remember that
that's when you
too.
know nobody's playing weekend league right now.
Yeah.
It's like
I
that's the
remember.
matchup.
I
Yeah.
remember. I think that was in your chat where I saw somebody saying Roy McCracken's playing K-Mac right now, and they were misreporting the score to the point where it
Yeah.
looked like Roy was up 14-0. I was like, yes, let's go, Roy. You can do it for
Mhm.
us. But
Yep.
no, you just
No,
don't win those games.
I think he scored a touchdown against
Oh, he
him,
did
and
score
he
a
was like, you know what, I'm
touchdown.
gonna call that a W. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, to be able to put
Yep.
up points because I've seen him. Well, even in the council tournament, like I've
Mhm.
seen what K-Mac can do, and he's
Yep.
incredible. But it's true.
Yep.
Like we ran that first council tournament just a little while back,
Mhm.
and it was
Oh,
we were looking at the
good
top
time.
names. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
incredible. Like the list.
To get the names that agreed to do it,
Yeah,
that was insane. And again, shout out to
yeah,
Young Bows for taking the
yeah.
whole thing.
Well, and I saw, we're always, I think we're both really active on Twitter. I saw Vose tweet something out just before I went live saying, my worst day of Madden in my life today. So, even guys that are, winning these
Mhm.
super comp tournaments, things like ladders that are going on right now. I was watching a lot of guys do ladders during the
Yeah.
day today. It's a whole level of stress that like,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
glad that I'm not, in that competitive community to that level.
Mhm.
It's tough.
Mhm. And it's one of those things where like I was even going to voice this, like this is something that frustrates me, is because I saw it a lot last year, and I'm seeing it even more so this year. The game is rewarding. I shouldn't say rewarding, but it like the game is not rewarding better players for being better players.
Yeah.
Like if you are a better player than your opponent, you should not be punished for that. Like,
Yeah. No, agreed.
and so that's where like the whole like matchup logic comes into play. It's like, because the way I've seen it is like, it's like you could have a guy that has like a stacked team, but maybe is not all that great, and then matching up against somebody that has like lesser players
Yeah.
who's better than them, and like, the guy that's got the better team is going to win, because
Yeah.
of something like that. It's like, I don't know. It's like, because I'm also one of those like guys that's like, well, I need the better players because I'm not all that great, But
Yeah, that's
it's like
mine.
when it comes down to it, when you have like two equally matched teams and two players at the same skill level, like
Yeah.
that should be the
Yeah.
way it is, And,
Exactly.
yeah.
And I find, like, for me, I'm more frustrated in weekend league. Well, I wouldn't say frustrated. Like, I'm more frustrated when I lose to a guy who is my skill level. I don't. It's not fun. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not fun. But at least I can quit out in the first half if I'm
Mhm.
getting flooded. If I'm down
Yeah.
21-0, I don't have the ball. I know that
Mhm.
game's over, and I get maybe three of those a weekend
Yep.
league or something where I'm just not at that skill level.
Oh, right.
It's the
Yep.
ones where you're in a close game, a sweaty game against somebody who you might win 5 out of 10 against, in a series,
Mhm.
like
Right.
those are the ones, and you make a couple bad picks or like a couple bad
Mhm.
reads. Those are the ones
Yep.
that kind of stick with me until you go on a little 2 game win
Mhm.
streak, and then everything's good again. That's
Yeah.
kind of the nature of this game we play. It's when you're hot, you're hot, and when you're not, it feels like you'll never
Mhm.
win again. It's
Yeah, so,
it's
some of
brutal.
those I don't mind. It's like if the guy's at the same skill level or as I am, or similar play style, it's like, okay, I get it,
Yeah,
But I do get where you're saying, like, it can be frustrating. And then all of a sudden, like, they're user blitzing this guy, or they're like just running out in mid blitz, or
yeah,
flipping bunch, and just
yeah,
then doing a bunch of like meta bull stuff. That's
yeah.
just like,
Loop
okay,
blitzes and
now I'm just
stuff, and
frustrated. Yeah, now I'm frustrated. Because
yeah.
you're not playing normal. Like
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly. No,
So
100%. I agree with that. And kind of going with that whole team over scheme idea as well, because obviously, there are guys. I've had guys that come out in weekend league with like 86s, 85s. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be easy. I've had guys with no abilities on the field this late in the year come
Yeah.
out and score on me first. So
Right.
good players like like I don't know if you've seen like what W does. W goes on and does his no money spent weekend league and puts up like 20 wins with a team that's 79 overall. So
Yeah.
the top tier guys will be able to beat us no matter how much we use our credit cards and get our teams
Correct.
bolstered.
Right.
But I
Right.
will say this year, it seems, all the talk is with the Raiders theme team this year. I will admit fully today, I got my Deion Sanders, Andre Rison, I converted them over to Raiders, and then I said no. I converted three
Thank
of
you.
them. And then
I was
went
ready.
back
I
and
was ready
like,
to hang
no.
up the Discord and walk
Yeah,
away. So
yeah.
thank you for saying that.
But it's like the game is making it so hard not to do that. And I had quite a few coins, and I was like, could I make the transition? I was like, okay, first of all, I don't want to spend 3 hours going through and selling stuff and rebuilding my team Dude in
changing
the chat
teams
says he
takes
almost
so
unsubbed.
much time.
It
Changing
really
teams takes
does.
so. I remember doing that towards the end of Man 21. I was changing theme
Yeah.
teams like every week, and
Yeah.
it was taking me like 8 hours and like
Yeah.
3 million coins each time to do it.
Yeah,
You know,
because
it's
you got to be one of the richest players in the game to be able to do that. It's I'm glad I didn't I have a Niners Chiefs thing, which has been OP for the last 3 years, anyways. So
Yeah.
it's not like I'm some guy who's running a Vikings team and the way that the game should be played. I try to get a cheesy good team. I thought it would be
Yep.
the Chiefs and Niners this year, but the Raiders. I've never seen anything like it where every day, every promo, there's a Raiders release, and I get that they've had a lot of good players over the years, and there's a lot of guys who have a backup chemistry with the Raiders, but it's silly. The talk leading up to the Legends release with Mike Vick, the joke, the meme was that it was going to be another Raider added, and then it's Charles
and
Woodson
sure enough, it was. Yeah,
at cornerback. We'll have a 96 speed cornerback on a Raiders team this early in the year.
Honestly, I really figured it was going to be Lawrence Taylor this weekend. It's so surprising we have not seen Lawrence Taylor in this game yet.
He must be most feared. I think at this point he's got to be
something
most
like
feared
that.
at least.
Yeah,
because he is probably, if you think of what's the most feared player in the game, it's got to be him coming off the edge. Yeah.
And I'll say for this year, this is probably like the last 2 years is probably like the only time I've actually leaned towards theme teams. Even playing I've been in MUT since Madden 18. That was the first time I did it. I went back and looked at my Madden 18 team and it was awful because I just didn't know what I was doing. 19 I learned a little bit more about chemistries and everything like that, and I was able to build off of that in Madden 20. Even in Madden 20, I think I had a 40 out of 50 Bills theme team. Again, just not enough players to get 99. My goal is to have 50 out of 50, but also have a 99 overall. If I can do that, that's the way I would want to do it. So I was able to do that last year. I had a 50 out of 50 Bills team, and it was also 99 overall.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
that was huge for me.
Yeah.
Because there were so many useful Bills players, and then even this year, it's not if the Bills keep getting good cards, I'm going to keep putting him in my lineup. And the way they are leaning the game over the last 3 years towards theme teams is, the teams are going to continue to get love. So I know we haven't had monstrous Bills cards lately. Probably last week when Tre'Davious White and Stephon Gilmore came out for the Guardians program, which are going to lose one speed, come next week when most feared starts or whatever. But
it's a scam. Yeah.
Yeah, the temporary strategy cards, that's kind of frustrating. But
I agree. Yeah. But I like the pivot towards theme teams. I think it's cool because I think the worst part about it is that tournament last year, the Regs tournament, and it was just Packers. I hate watching that.
Packers Bucks too.
Packers Bucks, yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of I think the more variety there is, and just being able to see more play. I know they're pixels on a screen, but at the same time, it's cool to see guys who use different quarterbacks to not play against Josh Allen every game or Dan Marino every game. It's nice to have guys who and it forces them to play different styles, which I think overall is better for gameplay in general. You'll be more able to adapt to different play styles. So I don't know.
You don't want to see the same guys every single game you play. So going to the whole Raiders theme team, even if they changed you could have the team visuals, bring those back where I don't have to wear a Raiders jersey just to get the chemistries.
How did they mess that up this year? It's stupid. They had it last year. They fixed it last year. And specifically in the menu, at least on current gen, it states that these visuals don't have an impact on chemistries. And then I was one day I was looking, I was okay, well, it says clearly these are just visual. There's no impact on team chemistry. I was why do I have 4 Vikings chems on my team? I was trying to go. I was I don't have a single Viking on this squad. I'm well,
couldn't figure it out.
And can they not just label it appropriately at least? It's they will add. I mean, they added it last year. I thought that was a great feature. They could have added. Last year, I don't think they had a stadium, but they should have it where you can play in your team stadium as well, but still have the chemistries of another one, I think, as well. Because US Bank Stadium is beautiful, and I don't want to play in the Chiefs Stadium just so I can get the chemistries. But little things like that, I guess they're always trying to tweak, or at least they should be trying to tweak those things.
They should be, yeah.
But
work out something with that.
Yeah, and I guess we've been on here for a long time, about an hour and a half. But I wanted to kind of ask you. Yeah, no, Yimmy, I'm loving it.
I told you I could do this all night. So
I know, and I appreciate that. And honestly, having these kind of free flowing conversations are awesome. And it's just you've been such like an open book, and honestly, it's been a great. I feel like we're just sitting in your man cave right now at the bar and just hanging out and having a conversation.
You want me to grab you a beer? Okay.
I would love that. Thank you. But and what do you have on tap though? Actually, do you have anything on tap? Do you have a keg right now?
I do. Labatt Blue Light we have on tap today.
Which is that an American beer at this point? Like, has it been purchased by?
It kind of is.
Budweiser or something, or what? Yeah.
So they have their headquarters in downtown Buffalo now, and this was a great story. So when Labatt's bought the headquarters and moved it down there, there's some smokestacks down there that actually look like a 6-pack that they painted to look like a giant 6-pack of Labatt Blue.
That's awesome.
It's hysterical. You can look it up online. I'm sure
that's
there's
awesome. I will take a look.
Yeah, right in the downtown area.
Yeah.
And so Labatt's was like that was one of my dad's beers growing up. Like he would drink Labatt Ice or Blue, and just kind of like what we grew up with around here, So I stick like, and it was always funny. Like my dad was always like, and Blue's just such a great answer to everything. Yeah. Because somebody would say like, "Oh, do you want a drink?" Blue.
Yeah.
He would just
exactly.
He would just
One
answer
syllable.
Blue.
That's it. Yeah. And it matches the Bills' colors too, so it's the double whammy.
Yeah. And obviously the walls and everything like that. I got blue.
Was that Bills related when you painted the walls, or did the place already come with the blue wall? Yeah, I like it.
So actually we were looking at a Sabres blue, but it was too dark, so we went like a little bit lighter. And the contractors like to mess around with me too. You'll appreciate this one. So they painted the walls with the blue color and then the white ceilings. And the contractor's like, "Oh, you Maple Leafs fan, huh?" I'm like. That ends now.
Awesome.
Stop it.
Oh, I love it.
I wanted to put like some kind of red trim in there just to like throw it off, but I'm like,
you can paint the baseboards red at some point if you have like a weekend.
I think I have summer.
To. Yeah, then nobody's gonna have any doubt. But the last thing that I was kind of hoping to ask you about was because we talked about your starting to streaming and starting from kind of this grassroots level, this these big opportunities that kind of fell into your lap and you made the most of them. To the point where you were doing Madden live streams last year with over 1,000 people in there. So what are your goals for your stream going forward? Like what's the next goal for RetroYimmy? What are you looking to accomplish on the platform?
I want more emotes.
Emotes. So
we know what that means.
We know what that means. So making that partner push. Yeah.
I don't like to say I'm making that push. Two of the guys that I admired in the community because they got the partnership just by being themselves. One is Big Cap, the other one is Shopmaster. Yeah. Like those guys hit live and don't care if there's like 2 or 3 people in there, and then or up to like 500, whatever. Like they just do their thing, and like it just led to it at that point. 100%. And it's like you never see them like out there like, "Oh, I'm trying to make a push for partner, please help me out, show up, blah, blah, blah." Like they didn't do any of that, so like Big Kev like got his he was like he got his partnership a while ago, I know that, but still like, and then like he still puts up big numbers and everything like that. Like he says he doesn't, but I know he does.
But he does.
And same thing like Shopmaster, like I don't even think he had any intentions of getting partnered, but just he had the numbers and applied and got it. Like it's just it was just pretty incredible. So it's just more emotes, and it's one of those things where it's like I'm still gonna go live and do no matter like anything I do, no matter what, like I'm still gonna go live. So and I've seen so many guys that are like they're so on this partner push where they're like, well, if I at any point in the stream I look and the numbers are below 75, I'm gonna cancel stream and I'm gonna go right out. I'm like, I am not doing that in any way, shape, or form. There's nights where I wanted to, there's nights I could have, and I'm like, no, like everyone's still having fun, like I'm gonna have fun, like I'm enjoying this, like I'm not gonna cut it short just because the numbers aren't there. I'm not saying in the future I won't sell out. No, eventually I might have to sell out, but I'm just gonna
I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, I just want to go live and do my thing. If I can get more emotes out of it, that'd be great. Even if Twitch came out tomorrow and said, "Hey, guess what? Affiliates can have 3 more emote slots." I'll be happy. I have a couple ready
emotes.
To go. Yeah.
Do you have follower emotes in your channel?
I don't have follower emotes. No, I never did that.
I actually messaged Twitch help trying to get them. I'm like, how do some people get them and some people don't? It's a beta program right now. I would take those at this point. But
so the only thing I have right now are like my bit badge emotes I can make. So I have more emotes because of that, and then the other ones, I've even said we need there need to be gifted sub emotes also. Because like you get. Cool. Yeah, it shouldn't just all be like bit based, because like I have some that like bless their hearts have
Yeah,
gifted like so many subs to the channel. Like they
yeah,
should have their own emote slot,
yeah,
for like
100%.
like once you hit like that threshold, you should be able
Yeah,
to get it. And there's some guys like even like the bit badges. I'm like, you were the first one to unlock this. What emote do you want?
yeah,
So it's like
exactly.
it's like that should be a reward for them. Like you
Yeah.
reached this milestone for me, so what do you want designed?
Yeah,
So.
no, I agree with that, and I think it's very kind of wise the way you approach it about not cutting a stream just because you might be not close to that number, that magical
Mhm.
number that everybody needs, but reading the room and realizing that you're doing this not just for like you have a full time job, right? Like
Yes. Yes. Oh
so
yeah.
you have a full time job. This is a passion for you, obviously, because like you said, you were willing to get out there when it was just one or two people in the chat
Hmm.
and do it anyways. So
Yeah.
you're doing it from a place of you love streaming, you love the people that you met along the way.
Hmm.
So I really respect that you're not selling out. You're doing it your own way, and
Yep.
it will come to you because you're approaching it the exact right way. You got a good mindset. I know sometimes there's those months that come where you can't help it. You might have like I had a stream last week where I went 0-5 on stream and head to head. I don't
Yeah.
think I've done that in ages. I've
Yep.
gone 1-4 many times, but there was something different about the 0-5. I was like, okay, let's play one more. Can't end on a loss. Play one more.
Yep, I've hit
And
those losing streaks, and that's one of the toughest things to come out of, because like you want to still just have the positive vibes no matter what. You want to have the good flow of the stream,
yeah,
and I'm still trying to like find that guy. Like it's just one of those things where like the game can just get super frustrating,
yeah,
and I saw more of it towards the end of last year, and it kind of carried over into this year. But that's because the gameplay is a little bit worse this year than it
yeah,
was last year, and
yeah,
that's what's making it
yeah.
like still frustrating.
Is it-
So like I probably had like the best time playing the game last year between like I would say like November and January.
yeah,
I hit 16 wins in weekend league twice,
yeah,
which was huge for me.
yeah. That's
Like
big.
I'm
Yeah,
usually like between a 13 and 14.
yeah,
Like I'm lucky if I get to 15 this year.
yeah,
The
yeah,
way it's going. So I get to 10 and I'm happy. And I'm
yeah,
like, that's like Madden 20 in me right there. I'm
yeah,
like I was happy with 10 then. Like I should be
yeah,
not happy with 10. I should be not happy with 13. But
yeah,
like the way the game is this year, it's like, all right, you know what? I gotta step back a
yeah.
little bit,
Well, even Big
and
Kev talked about that too. A guy who was very competitive and still is an
yeah.
amazing player. Like I see him go on
Oh
and
yeah,
trash
I don't
talk
know
with the
how he
best of
loses
them, and
games.
yeah,
Right.
no, seriously. But that's just how sweaty it is, and that's just how they like you said they reward not the best gameplay. People making bad decisions can get rewarded still.
Yeah.
So don't look at it. I look at it like. I had my 18 wins, which I've never done. 17 was my best ever.
Congratulations.
I'd done
That's
17
awesome.
one time before, and that was 2 Maddens ago. I don't think last year I even hit 17. I did hit 17 last year, but it was because somebody in my stream lurked me in my final game and gave me a free win.
Oh yeah.
So who knows what would have happened if we had actually played it out.
Right.
But
Right.
you always have to extrapolate that. I think, okay, well, 18 wins on current gen when all the competitors are on next gen. I'm curious and terrified to see what next gen has in store whenever I do get my hands on a PS5 or
No,
an
you'll be
Xbox.
fine. You'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, and it's the winning isn't everything. Same thing, the viewers aren't everything. Like there's a lot more ways to have fun on the platform, and you're right. You got to find that person who's able to weather the storms and weather the ups and downs. And
Yep.
I think for the most part, you do an amazing job of it. And I think
Thank
having
you. I try.
having the chair, I think having the
Oh,
chair
the
alter
chair.
ego is probably a great way to vent out some of the frustrations with the game.
It can be. The chair does have a mouth on him,
Yeah.
so it's funny story about the chair. So the way the whole thing started was, and it was one of those things where when I first started streaming, I'm learning things. Everyone's like, "Oh, we love the chair, we love the chair," and I'm like, "Why do you guys like? What's
Yeah.
the big deal about a chair? Like,
Yeah.
oh, let's do a chair stream or whatever." And I'm like, so I'm just like, how can I? Okay, let's see if I can do something with this. So I set up a channel point option where I play a chair game. So I just basically set up like a separate screen. It's just a picture of my chair, and like I'm just like talking in the microphone. And it's somewhere down the line, the chair became a real jerk.
Yeah,
Like
no kidding.
it just became like super toxic.
Yeah.
And it was a game I was playing. Like I think it was towards the beginning of last year, and I threw a touchdown and I shouted in this. Well, all right, I won't repeat what the chair said for the
Yeah.
podcast, but I said like, hey, you just got dotted by a chair,
Yeah.
it's like stuff and just stuff like that. You just lost to a
So
chair,
good.
like and
Yeah.
it just kind of like build off of that, and like all of a sudden it just turned into like big insults and all hail the
Yeah.
chair and just
Yeah. So good. It took
and
on a life of its own, really. Like,
yeah. And
yeah.
everyone's like, what is this chair thing? And everyone's like, best channel points they've ever spent. Like they
Yeah.
love doing like the chair games or whatever.
100%.
There's some nights where like I gotta be honest, like I gotta be in the mindset for it. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
if I'm down, I'm like, look guys, I'm sorry, just not tonight,
Yeah.
not tonight.
It
You
might,
know,
or it
and
might
then-
get too dark. The chair might go to places that you're afraid
Yep.
to see where it comes back
Right.
from. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, if I'm on a winning streak and we want to throw in a chair game, sure, I'm having
Absolutely.
fun. I'm winning games, I'm in
Yeah.
a good mood. Let's do it. Yeah, why not?
Yeah. The other thing too is with the shades games. I have no idea how you do that because your basement looks like it's pretty dark down there too.
It is.
Can
It
you
is.
see
So,
anything when
yep.
you're doing a shades game?
I can. It's tougher. So
I can't even use shades out in the real world. Look at that.
Yes, everything's
That's
a little bit
fantastic.
darker, so it's tough to see. But
Yeah. You got to get
Again-
those fancy blue lenses to protect you from the computer rays, the harmful
yep.
computer rays.
And I feel like everything at my desk has a story. The shades actually have a story. When I first started streaming, I was looking for a webcam and I was looking for a microphone. I found this deal on some third-party website that it was a C920 webcam with a Blue Yeti, and I'm like, wow, that's a really good deal, like really cheap. So I bought it. Here it is, like a month later, the package finally arrives, and it's a pair of these Ray-Ban sunglasses, and I'm just like,
Hey, what? Oh my goodness, that's
and I'm fighting with the company like back and forth. And they said, they wanted to like charge like so much for like a cancellation fee or like a refund. I'm like, no, now I'm paying for glasses I don't want.
Yeah.
Like I want my stuff. And like eventually I just gave up on this, because I had.
So you paid
I was
for
just
a
exhausted.
Blue Yeti and a Logitech camera
Yep.
as well. Oh my goodness.
And got sunglasses out of it.
They better be
that's
Gucci at least. They better be Gucci sunglasses.
I mean, they're.
They're not bad.
I mean, you tell me. I mean,
they look like they're unisex probably. Hopefully a men's frame at least. But they look good.
I
on
don't
you, I
even
will
know.
say that's great
yeah.
value.
So as long as they look good, whatever,
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, fighting back and forth. Never got my camera or
That's
anything
horrible.
like
Oh my
that. So
goodness. I had a similar thing returning. So I bought my wife finishes furniture. That's like one of the things that she does, and I bought her a power tool. I think it was like an orbital sander or something off of Amazon, but it wasn't Amazon Prime. It was a third party seller again, and she found out that it was on sale at Home Depot for like half the price, and she's like, okay, just return this one. Go buy the one at Home Depot. So I did buy that one too.
Oh,
then we
boy.
try to return it, and it's like it got lost in the mail. He's like, well, there's no proof that it's arrived back here. So this guy's
Oh,
sitting
my
there,
gosh.
keeps all the money from the original one, and also has the original tool back that he can resell again to some other sucker, I'm sure. But yeah,
That's so
that's
bad.
one thing with COVID, with all the deliveries and whatnot, not going to
Yep.
stores in person. There's always these. Everyone has a story like that, I think. But that's
Oh, yeah.
incredible. I had no idea what the shades.
right,
such
yeah.
a-
So I'm like, well, channel points. I'll play the game in sunglasses, and then I do the hat spins also because I always
Yeah.
wear my hat backwards. So wearing my
Yeah.
hat forwards is just weird to me.
Yeah.
So like, there's
Yeah.
a couple of hats where I like. That's why I like getting the fitted hats because so you don't see my forehead in between.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's just
Yeah, my forehead won't allow me to wear hats backwards. I can barely fit into my merch hat that I have. The Streamlabs hats are just, I wish they were like a half inch
Yeah.
deeper. Like I have a humongous
Sure.
head. You might not be able to
Okay.
tell on stream, but
Looks good. Looks good from here.
And I'll tell you what, it's been an absolute blast to me, like talking to you. I'm sure we could talk for hours and hours. My voice is
Good.
still a little bit shot from the 6-hour stream yesterday. I was like in shambles by the end of it. But I will tell you, I'm saving up for my my DAWs boot. You added the mini DAWs boot option. You're not fooling anybody. There are people.
Yeah, I don't
catching the
think I
shades
am.
Games. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I've been so patient for so long at this point that I think I have to just hold out until I can see it through. Get the
So,
full
so
DAWs
this
boot.
is going to be some good advice I'm going to give to any future streamers out there. Number one, be yourself. Always be yourself. Number
Yeah.
two, always raid out when you're done streaming. I don't care if there's one person or two, whatever. Raid somebody else. That's how you get the recognition. That's how you get channel growth. And three, don't set goals that you don't think will ever be achieved because they can be.
Yeah.
AKA somebody saving up 250,000 channel points for a DOS boot.
Yeah.
to the point where I had to raise it because everybody was getting it.
That's 100%.
So
That's a great little introduction for beginner streamers for sure.
I set up a 250,000 channel place. I'm like, no one's gonna get this thing. And honestly, it didn't even start out as like I'm like, no, I'm not gonna chug the whole thing. I'm just gonna drink out of it for the night. It's 100 ounces. It's 100-ounce
Wow.
boot. So that's like what, 8 pints or something like that.
16 ounces is a pint. Is that or how much
Yeah.
is a pint? Yeah. So
Yeah, 16 ounces.
I can't do that math. That's over 5 pints though. That's like almost six
it's
pints. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
it's a lot. So so and it's not even like the beer factor. It's just any kind of liquid, like to drink that large amount all at once is tough. So, so it's I don't know who's close to the 400,000. There's everyone's like, oh, you put the mini boot out there. Oh, I'm saving up for the 400. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Somebody will get that.
So I do like when somebody throws in the mini boot every now and then. That's only like a 64 ounce, I think. So it's a little bit easier to do.
That's still impressive, though. That's still a good night right there. That's a fun party night right there. Yeah.
And I did look it up. Because everyone's like, no, you took a break in between or whatever. I'm like, no, if you look it up, the actual challenge is you have to drink the whole thing without setting it down.
So as long as you keep it in your hand,
as long as I keep it in my hand, we're good. Yeah. I could take 3 hours to drink at that point. As long as you don't set it down, you're good.
Yeah.
That's apparently the challenge.
Yeah.
But no, even after I did it, like I was like impressed, and I was just so full afterwards.
Yeah.
And then like an hour later, like, okay, all the alcohol hit me. Woohoo! Now we're having fun. All right.
Hey, at least hopefully you remember to rate out at the end of it. I'm sure when you have a bar in such close proximity, there's always the fear that you just eventually tip over in your chair. But you seem to have a good tolerance with the nice bar.
I do pretty well. There are some nights where we'll have a short glass stream, and I'll have a glass of whiskey or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's when things can get a little nutso. But once I set up the kegerator in the basement, like that was like one of the things I really wanted to do. Like my friend had bought me the DOS boot a few years ago. I'm like, oh, we can do DOS boots now. And then I tried it, and I'm like, oh, this sucked. So even like the same friend actually bought me the mini boot. He had it engraved. It says RETROYIMMY right on it, which is, what a sweetheart, for doing that.
Awesome.
It's really cool. So yeah, just drinking on the mini boot is it's still a challenge, but it's not as bad as the big boot.
It's not a hospital trip necessarily.
Right.
The full one, we'll see what happens when the time comes.
No, the full one I can't do like I honestly had to prepare for that. Like I had a light dinner. I didn't eat much that day. I'm like, I need an empty stomach for this thing, and then had a side of saltines ready to go just to like settle my stomach afterwards too.
100%. You got to do it at the end. Like I mean, you don't cheat anybody on it either. Like you do it like in the middle of the stream, as opposed to if I had to do something like that, I would do it right before I boot off, but that takes away the whole fun of it.
Yeah, like somebody did the mini boot. It was like 1 a.m. I'm like, you monster.
Yeah.
All right, let's fill it up. But so that big one, that's a prep thing. We gotta be ready for that one.
Absolutely.
We gotta have the stomach ready.
Yeah, for sure. But Yimmy, I feel like I've had an amazing kind of sit down with you. I feel like I've learned a lot about you, heard a lot of stories.
This has been great.
Yeah, it's been so much fun. And honestly, like I'm not a guy who really spends time hanging out in Discord calls too much. Like I'm still figuring my way out with the app, but I've always enjoyed kind of popping in to the council Discord whenever people are in there and hearing your opinions on stuff. So I would love to be able to kind of sit down with you again, maybe whether it's on the Extra Point podcast or whether it's on here again in the future sometime. I think we would have there's still more I want to know, but I don't.
We could do a part two.
Yeah,
sure.
I would love it. Yimmy. I would love it. Absolutely.
Even off stream, on stream, whatever.
100%. I appreciate
Hit me up if you want to chat in Discord. This has been great. Thank you so much, Murphy, again for
thank
this.
You.
Yeah,
I appreciate
it. It's been a pleasure.
Honestly, I just want to say that I know you got big goals for the stream, and just continue to be yourself, continue to be genuine, do exactly what you're doing, and all those goals and all those kind of dreams that you have for your streamer are absolutely going to come true. I have the utmost faith, and huge fan, just a huge fan. It's surreal to have you on here. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much again.
Yeah. Take care, Yimmy.
All right, you too. Right. Thanks, Murph.